But it's interesting because when we started the podcast is when we were talking about the number of points, and I kind of reminded you of my conscious brain before the season started, and I said I want to go into these first 6 games, and I think if we come up with plus 10, to 12 points, we're gonna be all right.
Mm.
Because I don't want to have my doom and gloom hat on just because we've had a couple of. It's a difficult period, right? It's a difficult period, these first 6 games. I am actually really optimistic. I really am. I think after this period, from what I have seen, these have been some tough games that, yes, Arteta didn't quite get some of the thinking right. But once we come out of this tough spell, I honestly believe we're going on a run. I'm gonna put my cards
I
on the
think so
table.
too.
Not gonna.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think we're
yeah.
going to run, and I think Liverpool, because they've not had anywhere near the injuries we've had, and we've actually navigated it pretty well. They're going to drop points. They have been as lucky can be, and I think by the time we hit Christmas, that league is going to look very different in our favor, right? But that's why I know what you're saying about rationalizing things. But that's why I'm saying when I look at the likes of Zubimendi's performance and Declan Rice's performance, I'm actually buoyed by it.
Mm.
I'm optimistic about it. I think against the rest, after this difficult period, against the rest of this league, we're looking good. I think the defense as well, and so stubborn as they are, fantastic. I love what I'm seeing from Madueke. My
Yeah.
biggest problem is on the left hand side, and he's gonna have to fix that. But like I said, maybe Madueke goes on the left. Gyökeres, I'm still very very optimistic about it, and I think we're set up well coming out of this period. If we get that, ideally 13 points after next week. But for me, it's genuinely game on. Because in no way with Liverpool's performance that they've been showing that they're going to maintain this for no chance, no chance.
Yeah, Chooks, like you talked about this end of this kind of tough start to the season, and we've got, like you say, Newcastle in a week's time, just under a week's time, and it's interesting what you said about Liverpool as well, because I was looking at their fixtures earlier, and I think we were talking about it in the pub. I think Aaron was actually sort of saying they've got some tough games coming up. Just looking at their fixtures in all competitions, outside of the League Cups, in the league they've got Palace away next weekend. They go to Galatasaray in the Champions League. Then it's Chelsea away, United at home, Frankfurt away in the Champions League, Brentford away in the league, then Villa at home, then Real Madrid at home in the Champions League. So that's, yeah. Like you say, Chooks, I don't see them. I mean, obviously, they don't need to win all those games, but I can't see them winning all of those league games. There's definitely going to be a couple of drop points. And that's all we really need at this stage, right? So I think it just puts the pressure is on us though, right? For Sunday. The fact that we didn't win yesterday, if Liverpool do go and get a result against Palace and we don't against Newcastle, that gap gets even bigger. And it just makes every game after that a must win. So I think we're all looking at Sunday in St James's Park and thinking, can we sort of turn our fortunes around, because it's been a bit of a struggle the last few seasons. I mean, looking at Newcastle, just looking at look, they haven't really had a great start to the season. They currently sit in 13th place in the league. Won a game, drawn 3, and lost a game. They've only scored 3 goals. They've only conceded 3 goals. So a bit of a mixed bag. I don't really know what to make of Newcastle's start to the season. They haven't really had that tough of a start. Villa, I mean, okay, fine. Newcastle, sorry, they played Liverpool, but yeah, went away to Villa, played Liverpool at home, and obviously lost. Drew away at Leeds. They beat Wolves just 1-0, and Wolves have been pretty bad so far this season. And then they just drew to Bournemouth away just before we played on Sunday yesterday. I've not watched much of Newcastle, to be honest, this season. But look, going into Sunday, guys, and it's still, we've got a League Cup game in between, and so anything could happen in that, just in terms of who Arteta chooses to pick, and we could potentially pick up a couple of injuries. Hopefully, he obviously goes with a sort of a second string, and we don't run that risk. But just looking ahead to Sunday, and like I say, the struggles that we've had at St James's Park in the last few seasons, and we're saying now, sixth game of the season that we basically have to go there and win. How confident are you guys feeling, Raj?
I'm pretty optimistic, to be honest. I think the fact that we got the last minute equaliser is going to be pretty big in the dressing room. As much as they would have liked to win, obviously. Like I don't think. As much as I'm criticizing how we were in the second half, like a draw against City is not a bad result, man. Like we can't beat them every year. Like it's at some point, whatever. Anyway, the point is, I think you called it, Miles. I think you analysed even without watching Newcastle. As you said, they haven't been good, man. Like they've not. Like I hope we just play the team and not the occasion, not the history, and not whatever. We should be going out to St James's Park and beating Newcastle. Yeah, I know they're going to have some players back from suspension, but also like some players who were injured, and I think they rotated massively. It was really hard to figure out why they started with the lineup they did the other day. By the way, even in the Champions League and in this game, just gone against Bournemouth, it was weird because the starting 11 seemed like they had rested a bunch of players. But then you're like, why are you resting them? What need you have to rest some of these players because they were on the bench. So I don't quite know what Eddie Howe's thinking and what the drivers are and whatever, but we should be beating them. I think we'll win 2-0. Like I think we'll win 2-0. Look, at the goal we conceded yesterday, that's the one dumb defensive thing we've done this season. I mean, like we don't make mistakes defensively. Like we're so good defensively. I think we'll put a really good defensive performance. I think we'll win 2-0.
Do you? That's obviously positive prediction. Just before I ask Chooks,
And I'm on a roll, aren't I? By the way, I'm on a roll.
You are.
I
You
said
are on a
2-0
roll.
against 2-0 against Bilbao and 1-1 yesterday.
So hopefully you're right. Hopefully you're right. But I was just going to ask you as well, like in terms of, because obviously we've spent a lot of this episode just talking about lineup and selection, team selection. Like, do you think Arteta will go? I'm not necessarily saying in terms of personnel, but I'm more looking at that midfield three, right? Do you think he plays Marino again now that, I mean, look, you've got a few more options, right? Okay, Madueke is out, but I'm just talking about the kind of general kind of the attacking players that are available, right? I'm not saying specifically positions, but Saka's now back. Potentially Odegaard might be back. We have no idea at this stage. Like, what do you think he'll go with that kind of solid midfield three again, given the opposition and the where we're going, St James's Park?
So I thought Odegaard might have been fit for yesterday, and I did that just because of his program notes. Because he said that they release online, they do these things. They release the captain's notes online before the game, and he basically was talking about how hard he was working to try and get ready for this game. So it sounds like being fit for Man City wasn't completely out of the question. Like it seems like that was something they hoped might be able to happen. So if they hoped that might have been able to happen for Man City, fine, it didn't happen. Surely he must be close, therefore, to coming back and may be able to come back against Newcastle. And I think if he's fit enough to play, I think we have to start him. I think we absolutely have to start him. If he didn't start Eze at 10 against City, I don't know if he will do it away at Newcastle. So maybe he will go with the Marino thing. I'm not as much, I'm really not that negative around the idea of Marino starting. But Marino starting and Trossard playing on the left, that can't happen again. Like, whatever Arteta thought he had up his sleeve, whatever. Let bygones be bygones. But, when we're going against Newcastle, that can't happen again. It'll be interesting with the lineup because he might go Martinelli on the left wing.
I think
because if Madueke is injured and Saka is fit again, he might go Martinelli left and Madueke right. Sorry, and Saka right. And,
Saka right, yeah.
And then what does he do with Eze? I don't know. I do think we're going to have to get used to Arteta liking having a couple of the big players on the bench in a game. I think he likes the idea of being able to sort of pull out, a big player, and not necessarily have all his trump cards on the pitch from the start. I think we might have to just get used to that. So it wouldn't surprise me if Eze doesn't start again, to be honest. But yeah, we'll see. Otherwise, I think everything else will be fairly predictable in the lineup.
Okay. All right. You're going 2-0. Chooks, feeling as confident?
What am I hearing? What am I hearing? What is this? Oh my God. We are talking about a Newcastle team that doesn't have Isaac. Right? we should have absolutely no fear going to that. But that team, the reason why that team is not working, they've lost their confidence because they've lost a big star player up front. So they don't know where the goals are coming from. That's why they're either drawing or they're losing. There's not many goals coming. So their fears are being realized. People said that team was Isaac. That Isaac carried a lot of that team. And they were saying, oh, no. They sold him for a lot of money. And look, lo and behold, the start of the season is just a mess. And the longer it goes, the worse it's going to become. And so all of a sudden, they're now realizing all of that rhetoric is true. We need to be going into that game full of confidence that we can get a result at St. James's Park. So that's kind of like the first point. I just think we have to be going there confident of the win.
How's this different from what I said? He's like start something. What am I hearing? I'm there going, I'm confident we'll win 2-0. What the hell?
You were not true to your convictions, but you're like, I think we can take it. I'm saying we're going to take that win. I'm fully confident of that. But the second point is also leaving the big stars on the bench. I don't know how much I can buy into that. For me,
no, but sorry, is that I get that you don't like it. I might not like it. Miles might not like it. But we're getting in Arteta's head now. From what we know of him, what do you think he will do?
We have got trouble in our starting lineup. As you said, you can't have a Trossard and Marino starting again. You can't have that situation. So at the moment, when you've got this many injuries, and we had the same thing last weekend, leaving stars on the bench just cannot be an option. Play the strongest team you have because we need to make sure we get the points. And then the old traditional way, once you've got the points in the bag, rotate as much as you like. But bringing people on late because already, oh man, you know what, we're chasing the game. I think that's criminal. So it's not that we can't, it must not happen again. You have to start Eze. Whether that's on the left wing or whether that's in the 10th position, make your decision. But you have to find a spot for him. If Odegaard is coming back, I still think you don't start Odegaard because he's just come back from injury. So you've got to start Eze. Then that left wing, if Madueke is out, then fine. Martinelli, I would much rather have Martinelli starting on that left than Trossard any day of the week. It is what it is. We are where we are. We have no choice. We've just got to go with that. I'd much rather have Martinelli starting until a time where either Madueke comes back and he can start on the left or Saka's starting on the right, if that is an option. And my view is you have to start your strongest players, especially with the injuries we've got, and we have to be going there truly thinking we're coming out of here with 3 points and a much better goal difference, and we move on to the next game. That's my view.
What was your score prediction, Chooks? Did you say it in there?
I'm also going to go with 2-0. I think he's got 2-0 written all over it. 100% 2-0. Not I think 2-0. 100% 2-0.
2-0. Okay.
I can't believe what I'm hearing. I'm going to predict exactly the same as you.
But like you said in the pub, Raj, it's so much better when you might not get the result right, but if you get the kind of the way the game, the nature of the game, it's
No. In fairness, I don't think it will. I think Chooks, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you're describing a game where we're pretty much dominant start to finish, and 2-0, if anything, is a case of us not putting some other chances away. And yeah. So I don't see the game necessarily going in that way. I think that it's St. James's Park at the end of the day. Newcastle have got that annoying thing at St. James's Park in big games. We even saw it against Barcelona. Like, they started like a house on fire. Like, they had loads of spells in that game where they were decent, and then Barcelona's kind of quality, ironically from Marcus Rashford, kind of came through. I think they have that ability to just sort of turn it on a little bit in these kind of bigger games and show up. It's part of the kind of history of the ground, I guess. So we're just going to have to, I think we'll ride out those times, don't get me wrong. I just think that they're going to have periods of kind of, having the ball and being a bit more dangerous. And, I think we'll win. I still go with 2-0. What about you, Mice?
Yeah, I think my worry is what you said before, Raj, is that we don't kind of get sucked into this, playing the occasion. Like, I think we've lost there in the league the last 2 seasons. and that worries me a bit because obviously it's pretty much the same set of players that going to the same ground where they know that they've struggled a bit, and I think we lost them in the League Cup last season as well, did we? Maybe. So I'm not saying it's a bogey ground or anything like that, but it's just that hopefully the players have a bit of a stronger mentality to just put that out of their minds and, like you say, just play the fixture, and you look at it on paper. Our 11, whoever he starts, is miles better. Like Chuk said, there's no Isak anymore. Like, that threat has just been removed, and he was, £100+ million player that they don't have anymore. I'm hopeful that we win. I'm going to go for a 1-0, but there's a massive part of me that's quite worried that, like I say, they're gonna play their usual kind of, they're gonna try and bully us and rile us up kind of tactic. And I think we've got the players to stand up to that. We've got kind of big game, physical players that will stand up to it, but just a little bit worried that it could go that way again. And if it is like a 0-0 going into the latter stages, then could go either way really. But yeah, I think it's going to be another tight game, but I'll go 1-0, and yeah, we come out with the 3 points, which is all we really need, to be honest. I don't really care how we play. Let's just get the 3 points.
I think Declan Rice and Zubimendi, a lot will rely on them. I think they're going to have to just run this game. I think, and they've got the ingredients to do it, but Bruno Guimaraes, etc., they're gonna leave one in every now and again. They're gonna be like really physical, So
good stuff, boys.
Cool,
nice one, great chat. Just want to say as well, we've had a load of comments from Charles and questions from Charles in the chat. We couldn't kind of cover all of them, unfortunately, Charles. So apologies, but thank you as always for watching and interacting. Appreciate it a lot. Cool.
We did, and obviously, like, we should wrap up, but given we didn't analyze it properly, we should all still just take a moment to pay respects to that goal. Martinelli's goal was so good, huh?
What a goal! Yeah, what a goal! And in fact, even everything leading up to it, I watched it over and over again. Just again, the flow of the play. It went from Man City's area all the way to our area. Then I said that tackle from Rice, and in fact, it was actually funny because what I also realized is the only reason Eze was in that position to pick up the ball and make that pass is because he had stayed back to protest about the foul on Declan. Yeah. So if you actually watch it, he's protesting about Declan on the floor and the fact that he'd been fouled and the fact that the referee hadn't done anything about it. And the play had moved on and he was still back. And then he just went, and then he started jogging forward. By that point, Saka had just moved up, turned around, looking for something, and he just passed the ball to him. He picked up the ball, took like 2 or 3 steps, and just pinged it. But that was the only reason he was that far back, because the game had already moved on. So if it hadn't been for that protestation that he did, he wouldn't have been there. So it's amazing. Really amazing.
And I think the other thing on that goal, like, there's so many things to like about that goal, but I think the thing that was really impressive is that Martinelli run from right to left. Like, he probably doesn't really get the opportunity to do that when he plays, because it's become a bit of a sort of touchline winger for us. But just seeing him have that opportunity to just sort of play on the shoulder of the last defender and make a really intelligent run. And obviously now we've got the players, when they are on the pitch, if they're not starting, players like Eze who can pick them out. That was really, really nice to see, actually. Hopefully we get more of that this season.
The only other thing I also wanted to add is, because I was wondering why Martinelli obviously made a run from the right side out into the left-hand side to pick up the ball and then lob it. And I'd said it's odd because you don't see Martinelli in that position really on that, out on the right-hand side. But then again, I saw analysis that showed that it wasn't Arteta, it was the assistant coach that said to Arteta, let's mix it up.
Yeah. They swapped with Saka, right?
He swapped with Saka, and then that's why he was in that position. And he made that run. I mean, again, there were so many things in that goal that almost like sliding doors. If certain things hadn't happened, that swap and Eze being back protesting, just just a fascinating analysis when you see it.
Margins, isn't it? Margins.
Really is margins.
Margins.
Yeah.
Just
Charles and yeah, so I see Charles.
Yeah.
Charles, we will talk about the atmosphere of the game next time, mate, because it was electric, especially after the goal.
Do you know what,
So,
Charles?
for
You know
sure.
what you should do as well? On the Arsenal feed, social media account, they've got this slow motion view of Martinelli's goal. Like, I think you've probably seen it doing the rounds where kind of, it's slowing it down like an ultra kind of motion. You can see Mize and I and Aaron and like behind the goal during the, like, just as you can see our faces as the ball's like lobbing down and seeing it go in and then go crazy. Around the 20-second mark on that clip, you can see me with my red hat on. So you know what? That I'm sorry we didn't get to cover the atmosphere so much today, but that'll give you a little bit of an Arseholics insight by just watching that clip.
Definitely.
So yeah,
definitely, yeah.
All right,
managed to sneak that in, Raj. All right, boys. No, as always, a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining. Thanks everyone who's listened and tuned in. We appreciate it a lot, and we'll catch you hopefully after 3 points at St James's Park next week.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
All right. Take care, boys.
Thanks, guys.
Later.